What up, Gus? I'm right here, very sleepy. And by sleepy, I mean ridiculously tired. I'm trying to run a replay and kind of talk about it as we go. Show one of my examples of a healer game. I want to say support, but mostly healer. So see if this replay will ever load. And then I'll show you, we'll discuss a little bit about how things go. I'll also turn it on so the camera follow is enabled on the healer. And I'll do the best that I can, you know. Let's see what we can accomplish here. Where are we at? The Malfurion. Okay. Malfurion game. Let the little fight go down at the start. Throwing heals to the tank. Throwing heals to anybody who's a little more than below full without wasting much mana. And as long as you stay on the defensive side, you won't have to waste much of your mana. Now this was an attempt to gank the Sylvanas before she realized it. With a few heals slapped on one of the assassins, then head back down to the middle where it's usually the hot spot, or wherever your warrior is, assuming it's a proper game. Yeah. So you're going to want to be throwing heals on whoever's low, trying to recognize it in time, anybody who's got enemies near them, but stay on the defensive side so that you don't take damage and you don't have to focus on healing yourself or you know, supporting yourself. I didn't see the other two in time, so I threw a root to try to help them escape, and it seemed to work out. They must have done a pretty good job. Now I got no mana, but I also don't want to lose my assassins. So I'm going to throw whatever I had at them and then regroup with everybody with still just a little bit of mana. Yeah, I'm gonna say kinda let them lead the way. You gotta trust that you're playing with a team that knows what they're doing. That way you can just focus on their health bars and not overstepping yourself unless you think there's a chance for a kill. If you're low mana, anywhere close to low mana, you're gonna want to focus on just healing. You don't want to throw your other abilities out there without a reason. That way you can keep everybody else at full health as much as possible. Like I said, always keep yourself as far to the close side as possible, because once you go down, nobody else gets health. Now I completely ran out of mana, but we finished most of that terror. And they can't always notice the healer running out of mana in a heated moment, but unless I say something or we're communicating on Discord, that shit's gonna happen. Okay, let's see where we're at. So, at this point we have almost a level lead. We sent one Garden Terror. They sent one of their own, which looks like it's almost down. Now I just kinda try to take the heat off the bottom lane. Kind of a risky decision, but I wanted to also draw focus away from the top lane where the terror fight was going down, so the team could see that the healer wasn't gonna fully support the terror at that moment. I was gonna focus on their push on bottom. The defense on bottom. I think we're attempting the Vala. Alright. Should have plenty of mana. A little fight went down in the meantime. Got a warrior. And I believe we ended up capping the siege camp that they tried to take. So I'm still just gonna focus on what the assassins and the warrior are doing. Keep their health up, stay on the defensive side, keep their mana up a little bit, being Malfurion. If they mount up and they're heading towards something, even if we're not sure what it is on the mini-map, it's still a good thing for us to do. Because no matter what they're doing, you just want to get their health back up and throw a little bit of damage, as long as you're in a safe position. And we can see that they have a Terror going bottom, and they have a lot of players bottom. But the healer's not going to run down there immediately. He's going to wait for team to get down there first. We got a Terror towards their base. So in most scenarios you want to position yourself on the defensive side, but I got a little risky right there just to throw them off. I think I was running late. Maybe I was just trying to postpone their push. And our Terror is pushing in return. Everybody's doing fine. They're back to full. A little bit more mana. And I'm gonna just stay near the warrior and assassins as much as possible. Unless we're on a push or a kill, I'm gonna try to keep my mana high. Stay a little back where I'm safer than they are, because that's how you gotta position yourself as the healer. I can't say that out of a full guarantee, but most teams are going to want you to be keeping yourself safe while healing them, instead of taking damage and having to heal yourself. If you're focusing on a similar strategy to that, most of the game, you want, at least half of the game, you want to keep your team on your screen and watch their health bars while you're on the farther side away from the enemies. And in important moments you want to be looking at most of the area while still watching your allies' health bars. But if you don't see the enemies on your screen, your main screen, it's not a big deal. You want them to be closest as you can to them outside of your main screen, while you're still keeping your allies as close to full health as possible. Whichever one is closest to the enemy, or which one might get attacked by the enemy, you can throw them a preventative heal if the cooldown timer is worth it. But a good general strategy is to just stay on the safer side of your team so that you're always up, keeping them as close to full or completely full on their HP as possible. You won't be the one who's gonna go to take down a whole objective or take down a camp. Very rare occasion you'll be the one to take down a structure, and a little bit throughout the game you're gonna either take out minions or stay close enough to get EXP for minions. But it shouldn't be a huge concern because you're just completely supporting what the other players are doing. In that scenario, Malfurion could root the Garden Terror. I think it lasts half the duration as a player would be rooted or something. But if the Terror is playing it too close, then they're going to end up dropping out of the Terror from your guys' attack on it sooner than they expect, which could set up the other players on your team to gank the player that's dropping out of their Terror. Going to regenerate my mana. We're still in the lead on EXP. Then I'm going to head straight towards wherever most of the action looks like it's going to be at. I just want to be able to either set up a gank with a heal, with a root, or help an escape with a root, while permanently focusing on keeping other players at full health. Trying not to fall asleep, but explain a lot of the basics of being a healer from my mind, my perspective of the game. Now in this case right here, I was watching the mini map just a little bit to see that my team was doing a well enough job that I just decided to put some damage on the terror and bring out some seeds out of it, and then meet them up when the enemy terror arrived near our base, and then just kind of throw them off with my arrival, throw the enemy off with my arrival with level 20, and see if I could slow down the enemy push. But in my opinion, I should have arrived a little bit earlier and tried to heal my allies sooner. I think in that game I was predicting that they were a little overextended for the defense against the Garden Terror and the rest of their team. I still think it's a good example of, I'm gonna say, decision making as a healer. So I think both teams became pretty aggressive after that last fight that went down. Whether it had to do with the amount of seeds or that they didn't see a few of us on the map, or some sort of engagement. And all I can really remember is that I just had showed up to try to support it. Oh, I'm not gonna rewind or try to analyze it. I'm just gonna let the game go. Make it go a little faster. Which I'm on 20 more seconds. And then see where everything's at. Yeah, at this point. Oh, my team were sending some camps up above. And knowing most teams, they're gonna be on the safer side of the map, so that put the enemy below. So I went to the middle, slowed down the siege camp, and when they regrouped with me, they didn't even seem to need a heal. And then this big fight in the middle went down. And there's only so much you can do. If I had to guess, from what I just saw, it looked like the other team engaged as 5, arriving pretty close together, quicker than we did. We might have even arrived with only 4, or one of us, or one of us started getting picked off first. So we lost a few players, and just had to get on the defense for a while until we had full team back ready to focus on a certain objective or kill or whatever they're doing. They got 2 assassins there getting into some shit before the tank arrives. So I just healed as much as I can. I even used the Twilight Dream ult to try to help them get out of there. One of them still ended up getting taken out even after the tank arrived. But it looks like our team turned it around for 2 kills against losing 1 of us, and they remain on the push. So, I mean, that looks pretty nice, considering 2 assassins engaged against a possible full team and turned it around into a push. I'm guessing it was a fight over the seeds, because now we're defending against a Garden Terror. You could leave when you back to base like that, you can leave the starting area a few seconds earlier, and by the time you get to where you're going, your mana will be regenerated back to full. In those rare games that a few seconds actually matter. So let's see. All the seeds have been gathered. The enemy team on the left side got 3 more than us, and we got 3 less than spawning a terror. So that was pretty close. Otherwise it would have been, if it was completely equal, that was 100 to 100 objective. It's interesting. So I'm rolling with the squad, supporting them in whatever they're doing. It looked like a possible kill. Like, we had full team ready to jump out, so I just kind of dove in and threw the Twilight Dream ult, and even though it was the warrior, it still worked. We got him, and that's a huge benefit late in the game because respawn timers are very high. He's at this point only at a 56-second respawn, So we're defending against the Terror as 5 when they have 1 person in the Terror and only 3 more on the map. And that puts the other 3 into a position where they're more worried about being aggressive, because they're not only is one of their allies down, but it's also the warrior. So most of them are a little squishier. Getting that gank was a good deal. This is Sylvanas that completely overpushed, because that's just what specialists do sometimes. And if they realize that they're possibly going to get ganked, they shouldn't do that, but most of them have the ability to delay a turret or a core, a turret or a fort or a keep from shooting at them while getting damage on it. They're going to be tempted to push. That Sylvanas completely slipped up. That's a turning point, in my opinion. Stopping the Terror with the warrior down and then taking out the specialist for overextending. Should be somewhat of a push going on. As a healer, I still have basically half my mana, and I've kept everybody as close to full health as I can the entire game, while occasionally trying to predict where the enemy team is going to be. Okay, it looks like, so the momentum that we got from the past couple of kills, my team took advantage of it well. So we have a Terror out on the field and enough for another Terror. Something went down and we lost 2 assassins and the warrior. It could have been me, I don't know. I space out a lot. But good things were happening. I'm not really sure what went down right there, but I'm not going to rewind to check it out. So one of them is pinging that the Terror should be killing the core, and the other ones just got to our core. Should be right down here. So the enemy ended up winning the race on that kill. And that late in the game, it can be determined just by any one person's slip up, because you're sitting on respawn for well over a minute. So that was just an example of a game that I consider being not only a support, but more so the healer of the match. Alright, guys.